They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badger name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm, calling out corruption, we'll stand tall for justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life mattered is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, social change warriors and justice seekers. Welcome to Thursday night, Calling Out Corruption with Social Change Warriors. I'm Catherine Felton Page, the founder and your host of Social Change Warriors for our episodes and live streams on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Friday nights. So we're really glad to have you back. Thank you if you're joining us live. And if you're joining us on the replay, we appreciate you. And any comments you have on the replay or suggestions, feel free to email. I always put the email and my socials up at the end of the evening. So it's great to be back with you. Tonight, we're going to just do a review of the interesting week that was associated with everything and anything to do with Karen Read and John O'Keefe in Massachusetts. I was talking with some friends the last couple of weeks, and a few people had really no clue about this case. They don't follow true crime that closely, but I interested them in it. And of course, Kara, our new friend whose husband we're standing for mostly on Wednesday nights, some Thursday nights, Jason Veach, that is the homicide that we've been helping her with and standing for, advocating and investigating here in Florida in Volusia County. She is now a fan of the movement and of everything that you all have done in Massachusetts and your standouts and your pink, so showing support for Karen Read. So I've been trying to help her get up to date, and she's been doing a lot of it on her own as well. But I thought tonight, if we did a little review of what happened this week and maybe walked back in time a little bit to that cold, snowy morning when the ladies, Jennifer McCabe, Karen Read, and Carrie, found John, that might help some of my other friends who are trying to catch up a little bit before we go to the next trial. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to do a little recap of this week, talk about it, feel free to type in the chat box if you're live, if you have questions, or if you want to pop up on the platform, you're welcome to come on the platform as well. And I need to send a green room link out to one of our friends who is here with us a lot living. So give me just a second. I'm going to do that. Stand by. I hope you all had a good day and you're having a good week. It is starting to be a little bit spring-like now here in Florida, but I'm heading back to Wisconsin for a few weeks for March Madness, where it is not spring-like. So I'll let you know when I'm living from there, so I can let you know the change of weather for me. It will be quite substantial, but most of you that are in the Massachusetts area, you are still dealing with cold and with winter. So most of the country is, with the exception of California and obviously maybe down in the southern states. But Florida has had a chilly winter here in Volusia County, where I live. It was in the 50s and 60s for almost 12 weeks, which is a bit unusual. So I am just copying this link to the platform. So if we might be joined by a special guest at some point, we'll see if she's up for it or not. But if not, I'm sure she'll join us in our live chatting as we review what happened this week and a little bit about the history. So as you know, Friday nights, we've been covering the Karen Read trial #1, and we've been taking it from the beginning and looking at the witness testimony of some of the key witnesses and breaking it down as just about as broken down as we can get it. So that's what we've been up to on Friday Night Lies, where we're basically asking 3 questions. Did the witness lie? Did the witness tell the truth? Or was the witness evasive? And was there a combination of all that? So that's what we've been up to on Friday nights. And we've had a nice group of folks joining us to talk about the testimony. We've gone over Katie so far. We've gone over Chris Albert, Julie Albert. We've gone over Nicole Albert, and then we started Brian last week. We got most of it, but we didn't quite finish. So we're going to finish with Brian Albert tomorrow night and then move on to, I believe, Brian Albert Jr. and Caitlin are up next, his 2 children. So we'll go over their testimony and kind of pick out what we think is truth versus evasive, maybe versus lies. So if you're available Friday nights and you want to join us live, that'd be great. The more the merrier in the live chat, and the better the discussion. If not, join us on the replay. That would be great. And give us some comments and subscribe if you haven't already to our channel, Social Change Warriors. That would be really great and appreciative. So let's get started here. Let me bring up just my beginning, like I always like to go through with you. So we are going to go over what happened this week in the trial of the first trial of Karen Read. Ended in a hung jury, which many of us couldn't believe, because we really thought that we really believe she did not hit him with her car. We feel the science isn't there for it. His injuries don't align. But more importantly, we don't have to prove who did it. We don't have to figure out who did it. And Karen Read's attorneys don't have to figure out who did it, as all of the law tubers have told us. For those of us that watch them, there's plenty of them out there giving us their great legal advice. They just needed reasonable doubt to exonerate her. And especially in Massachusetts, where you all have that extra caveat of not just beyond a reasonable doubt, but beyond a moral certainty. And I was just convinced beyond my own moral certainty that there was no way a jury could find her guilty of anything, because there was just so much reasonable doubt and so many things that didn't add up and so many obvious shenanigans. You didn't have to be a lawyer or an ex-cop or a social worker or anybody in any of those platforms with experience to see that there was shenanigans going on and that there was untruths happening and actual corruption happening right before everyone's eyes. And it's just been very stunning. Now there is the opposite side of the platform, those that are, they call themselves anti-Karen Read for whatever reason. Instead, I think they should just be pro, justice. I mean, pro, let's get the right person arrested and put in jail, right? Why are we anti-Karen Read or literally pro Karen Read? We're all pro truth, right? And that's what it's all about when there's a trial, and the prosecution is supposed to be about pro truth. And if at any given time they come across something that dictates to them that this is no longer the way it looked in the beginning, they have a responsibility to that person that's been charged with this crime to, either drop the case or contend that they don't have it anymore. They don't have the proof that they thought they had to continue with the trial against this person. I mean, that is the way that it's supposed to work, right? With justice, the prosecution it's not a game. It's not, we want to win, we want to beat you. It's about getting to the truth of the matter as to how this person became unalived and who did it. And, or again, in the trial, it's just, did this person do it? Is there enough reasonable doubt or not? But if the prosecution learns of something that changes their mind, right, they really do have it in them to stop this whole shenanigans and the farce of this theater of the absurd that we've all been watching. So welcome if you've never been with us before. Hey, Julie, welcome. If you've never joined us before, I'm Catherine Felton Page. I am a former law enforcement officer from Wisconsin and a former social worker, master's in social work, concentration on domestic violence, murder, homicide, and unaliving that has to do with domestic violence on women. So that's mostly what we focus on Wednesday nights, our Women Empowerment Night, our Angry Bees. Thursdays, we're focusing on calling out corruption in your communities. And this case obviously qualifies, as do many of the other victims that we're standing for. So thank you for being part of our movement where we want to participate. We want to create a village in communities all around our country where we put our foots down and we say, no more corruption, no more crime in my community. We're done. We just can't all sit back anymore. We all have to participate. We have to be a village and we have to root out the crime and corruption. And we have to get them removed from their jobs. If they're police officers and they're committing the corruption, they need to be delicensed out the door, goodbye, and maybe arrested, right? If they've done something that is an arrestable offense. And with government, unelect them. And again, if we can prove that they did something criminal, then we need to charge them as well and unelect them. That's happening in a lot of places in our country right now. You have met Ed Byers here on Thursday nights, where we have brought him to the stage and he's told us about the crime and corruption in Indiana, in Clark County, Indiana, and how many years it took them to root this out, right? It's just been unbelievable. So I just want to start out by saying that I really appreciate you. And I thank you so much for those of you that join me on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays and are trying to help us. We are a startup channel. We started in August, so we're just trying to help call out corruption where we can see it and bring it to you on these live streams and in our social media and spread the word, where these criminals are hanging out and what they're up to. And then, of course, we're standing for victims of domestic violence and hoping that their cases can be solved and the right person can be arrested and put in jail. We have so many ladies that we're standing for right now whose ex-husbands, fiancés, current boyfriends are not in jail. They have not been arrested. There wasn't, according to the police and government in their cities, not enough evidence at the time. And in some cases, like Sandra Birchmore and Ellen Greenberg, they were accused of unaliving themselves, which most of us that followed the cases knew that was never true and saw the crime and corruption being put in our face and we're being treated like we're idiots, right? I was talking to Julie today. We were texting each other that, Massachusetts, Canton, Clown Town, which I love that they call it that, and that I know that Colleen has been calling it that a lot with what she's dealing with there. We've had her on our show, and it's just beyond the pale, right? It's almost makes you speechless what they are getting away with right in front of our eyes. And they treat us like we're all complete idiots, that we don't see the truth, that we don't know what 1 + 1 = 2, right? So it's maddening. So let's recap a little bit of what happened this week. Now, Julie and I live streamed together on Tuesday for the morning and the afternoon session, because I just wanted it on record on my YouTube channel so I could go back and refer to it if I wanted to at any time during the next trial, and especially coming up when Judge Bev makes her decision on these 3 important matters that are before her. And I wanted to just be able to go back to my own live stream and pull it up. So Julie and I did that, and we were live in our chat box, the 2 of us. So if you want to catch our comments or see anything that we had to say, feel free to catch that in our library. I just want to bring up something for you guys to take a look at here. Just gives us, as I said, some of my friends that I've been speaking to in the last 2 weeks that don't know about the case, some of them are former officers. And the little bit that I've told them, they're feeling very suspect about this. So I said, well, I'll do a live stream Thursday night and I'll just give you guys the recap so you don't have to go out there and try to find all of the different channels and there's so much out there if you're new to this, right? I mean, when I first met Kara and started standing for her and her husband, Jason, and started telling her about this case. And I sent her to certain live streamers and I sent her to certain law tubers, and she was like overwhelmed, right? She's like, can't there just be one place where somebody can recap the whole darn thing? And I thought, hey, that's a really good idea. Not that we can do that all tonight, but we're sort of doing that in Friday Night Lives with the trial, by going over all the witnesses and really picking them apart and really talking about every little word. And maybe we're being too picky on Friday Night Lives, possibly, right? But that's okay, because the pickier, the better when it comes to people that are trying to pull the wool over your eyes and pull off shenanigans right in front of your face. So I think the pickier, the better. So let me bring up what I found a few things today that I think will make a nice recap for my friends that are watching live and on the replay tonight, trying to get the gist of this, right? So let me pull that up for you here. I'm going to share my screen and we will start out with just a recap that I found today. And then we'll kind of slowly go into, take us back in time to that morning on January 29th of 2022. So I am just going to pull this up here. There we go. And I'm going to share it with you guys. And I'm going to ask you to just type in the chat box, make sure you can hear it. I always want to make sure the tech is okay for all of you before I start playing it, because I'm in a kind of a tech room where I can't see you all. Let me make it bigger for you. Here we go. Okay.
Now that Judge Beverly Cannoni has heard from both sides, she must make 3 decisions before moving forward on the Karen Read case.
Obviously, I have to make findings, whatever they may be.
At the hearing, Read's attorneys admitted paying nearly $24,000 to 2 expert witnesses. Witnesses they told the jurors were completely independent.
It is misleading and unfair.
Read's lawyers say they made that payment only after the trial was over and long after the witnesses had reached their conclusions that John O'Keefe's injuries were not caused by being hit by Karen Read's SUV. The lawyers say they never expected the witnesses to bill them.
Came out of the blue.
So, the first issue, the judge must decide, did Read's lawyers commit misconduct?
I think the judge will look at whether there's something missing here in terms of what's normal practice, what would be the expectations, and what, in fact, were the expectations of both parties here about whether they were going to be paid or not.
If the judge does find misconduct, what is the punishment? Among the options, order fines, report the lawyers to the bar, which oversees their licenses, or kick them off the case.
But I think her focus will be on the behavior of the defense lawyers in a way that she sends a message to them here, but she doesn't want to disadvantage the defendant, Karen Read.
Finally, the judge must decide, can the 2 witnesses testify again at Read's second trial?
If they are going to be presented, there'll have to be full disclosure as to what their arrangements are, how they're compensated.
Also today, Read's defense filed a motion to dismiss all the charges against her for what it says is extraordinary governmental misconduct. Now, we don't know what they say that misconduct is because right now the document is sealed. However, the court clerk's office says a redacted copy of that motion might be available as soon as tomorrow. Read's attorneys filed a similar motion ahead of her first trial, and the judge rejected it. Live in Dedham, David Bieniek, WCVB News Center 5.
So yeah, so there you go. So that's a little bit of a recap for all my friends that told me they don't know what's going on and they wanted me to talk a little bit about it tonight. So that was what happened on Tuesday. Julie, craziest person on earth, and I live streamed it the whole day. We did a morning session and an afternoon session. I don't know about you guys, but I thought it was, it just seems to me like an overreach to make such a big deal about an invoice. I mean, I do see their point because the defense did make such a big deal, right? About, let me remove this from you guys. The defense did make such a big deal, Yannetti and Jackson way back in the beginning about how, these came from the federal investigation and they're completely not tied to us. We don't know them. They didn't know anything about the case. And so I can see where, because they made such a big deal about that, then the other side, now the prosecution, the CW, the Commonwealth, they're going to now want to make a big deal about any little thing and everything they can, right? Because they really want to upset the apple cart. They don't really want these ARCA guys there. Now, I know that Hank said, I don't care about the ARCA guys. I don't care what they say. That was to me kind of bravio, right? Like, why would he say that? Of course he cares what they have to say. They literally have the ability and the power to tank his entire case, right? So that was just really, when that came out of his mouth, I was just shaking my head. I don't know about what you guys thought about that. Hi, Grandma Bell, welcome. Glad to see you tonight live with us. Thanks to everyone else that's live. Do not feel you don't have to type. I know I don't always like to go in the chat box when I'm on lives. It drives me nuts actually sometimes. So I just like to focus and listen and take my own notes. But welcome to say anything, any questions, any comments in the chat. That's great because that's our kind of conversation space where we can all connect. But you're welcome to email me anytime too if you have any comments or questions. So I just thought that, first of all, was just bizarre that he said it like that. I don't care about ARCA. I don't care about, what they have to say. It's basically, like he said, they're of no consequence to me whatsoever. And that, of course, is ridiculous because they really, truly are. In the first trial, I mean, what did we called? I say we because I'm on the defense side. But what did they call? 5 witnesses, right? I mean, they had the cross of all of the witnesses of the Commonwealth, but I think they only had 5, right? So obviously those 2 were important and a big, big deal. And they would be again. Let's see. Grandma Bell says, I cannot keep up with this chat. This is a lovely opportunity listening live. Wonderful. That's great. I agree. Keeping up with chat, even when it's a small chat, like most of my lives are small chats. They're not like obviously Aiden's where there's 600 people trying to chat. That one makes my head spin when the few times I've tried to contribute in there, and Sean on the Gulfs and, some of the other live streamers that I followed, Young Jerks, their chat gets overwhelming for me with 400, 500, 600 people in it. So our little channel doesn't quite have that kind of chat going on, but I welcome any of you to feel free to chat when you would like to. Oh, great. Hi, nice to see you. I love this Gitmo holiday. I like that. If the invoice came out of the blue, why not also call ARC and ask them? Now they only did they call the U.S. Attorney's Office. Exactly. Like, I don't know. I just don't understand. Why couldn't so much of this been handled out of court, right? It should have been handled out of court. To me, by the way Hank presented it, first of all, that was very just terrible, right? I mean, he lied. He had to lie because he's smart. He prepped. He was prepared for that. He knew what he was going to say. He knew exactly how he was going to present his whole spiel that day. So for him to say that he got the emails and then take it back once Bev had her meltdown and was obviously had a visceral reaction to thinking that how dare Jackson, misrepresent the ARCA and their relationship. She just lost it, which, you're not supposed to do that, right? I mean, when you're in a position of power like that, in a position of authority, and you're the judge over a courtroom, you are practiced. She's done this so many times, and she's been pissed off in other hearings. She's been mad in other court, other times when she's been in court with other defendants and cases. But this one is really, it's like a thorn in her side. It has been from day one. It's been so obvious, especially to those of us who don't live in Massachusetts and maybe never watched a court hearing with her before, didn't even know who she was. Her behavior is so obvious. She is just so biased against the defense and against anything that has to do with justice for Karen Read. And her position is supposed to be justice, right? She's not supposed to remotely take sides. Now, of course, people say that judges tend to lean prosecution, but they're not supposed to. They're supposed to just stay neutral and run the courtroom and make sure the courtroom is run fairly for mostly the defendant, because their life is on the line. And whatever happens, and they have to monitor the jury and make sure the jury is taken care of properly and answer jury questions. And, that's their job, keep the lawyers in line. And, but her reaction to that, and then him at the last zero dark hour there saying, oh, no, I got those from the defense, not the feds. It's just this whole thing it's just more to this entire case has been one ridiculous moment after another. One, I can't believe this, jaws hitting the ground, people going berserk on their social medias. Can you even imagine how many social medias have come out from this case, especially since it came out once Aiden started reporting on it and drawing attention to it with his reporting, and then it started going national, and then before you know it, it's overseas as well. can you just imagine how many social media posts have been made repetitively, right? From the side that, they say that Karen hit him with her car, and then the Karen Reed, free Karen Reed. No, she didn't. The science isn't there. Back and forth, back and forth. I've been involved in many myself on a daily basis since the trials last April, arguing with people, mostly respectful. I've been lucky that way, but a few nasty. But sometimes I'll just go on there when I'm got nothing else going on and I'm bored and I just want to go on social media, and I'll just start reading the Karen Reed, strings, and just the nastiness and the name calling. And it's just downright terrible. It really, really is. And just when you think this trial, this case, during what's supposed to be the lull, right? This long lull that we had since July 1st, how could it just kept getting worse. It's like every week, something new, every week, something new. And now what did we have this week? Not only did we have the motions hearing getting delayed from last week to this week, and then another, having it go on and didn't even get to the whole point of the motions that were supposed to be brought up. We're still in it now. We're still in the ARCA. We're still in this whole email. Did you tell us about being invoiced? Did you tell us how many conversations you had with them? That's going to go on into next week now, right? So it's just constant. It's almost hard to fathom, honestly. And sometimes I just want to be done with it. I don't know how you feel, but I want justice for John. I want justice for Karen. But it gets to be so mind numbing, because once you're set on something and you want justice for someone, you think about it every day. You can't help yourself. Even on days I'm trying not to think about it, because I have 10 other victims that I'm advocating for right now on Social Change Warriors, and they're all running through my mind now on a daily basis. And I try to just unplug on Saturday and Sunday and just try to let it go. But when you become emotionally invested in someone's well-being, it's very hard to do that. And that's why I talk to you guys a lot about self-care. And if you're a true, you're a true crime enthusiast and you care about justice for people and seeing the right person go to jail, you still got to take time for yourself. You have to live your life, because their tragedy is not yours. You can care, you can have empathy, but you still have to survive and live. And if you get too down deep in the darkness of these tragedies, it can severely affect your mental health. I have read books about just innocent people who don't know the families, who did not have anything to do with what happened, and they become so emotionally invested that it affects their mental health as if it was happening to them, as if it was their family member. And you have to be very careful about that, because that can affect your relationships within your own family, with your husband or your wife or your children or your parents. I've had a little bit of that with some of my friends, like, Kat, we don't want to hear about this. We're not true crimers like you. We're not following this. Let's talk about anything but that. Let's talk about sports. I've had some of my friends kind of scold me on talking about this case too much, and the other victims now that we're standing for at Social Change Warriors. So we have to be very careful that our passions aren't always others that are in our lives. And these are our passions, because we are not the victim's family. We are not involved that way, right, on that level. So we have to be very careful. It's a difficult line that we have to watch. So I want to just put up here what Holiday has to say. Bev even lied to the jurors when they asked for the cert report. She said, you have all you need. If she was honest, she would have told them there wasn't a cert report. Exactly. I was floored. Holiday and Grandma Bell and Julie. I was completely floored. To me, that should be grounds for her to have some kind of discipline, right? And when I found out in Massachusetts that they don't allow the jury to see the transcript, I'm like, wait a minute, how is this justice for a person whose life is on the line? And especially if they've been wrongly accused and they didn't do it. How can they expect a jury to remember, and especially in this case, right, 9 weeks or 8.5, however long it went, of testimony, and especially the length of the testimony and the CW calling over 56 people to the stand? Unbelievable. I mean, you guys, who, if you live in Massachusetts, and I've said this before when I've lived about Karen and John, you have to write to your congressmen and your senators and the people in your state. You have to get this changed, because why in the world? What is the point of the court reporter, right? It's obviously they have to do it for the defense and the judge, but that's what they're there for. why is that something they don't want to allow the jury to do? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Are they concerned that it'll just take longer for the jury to make a decision? Well, so be it. Again, this is a person's life on the line. It should take as long as it has to take, right? So there's just so much with this case and the handling of it, the judge's, demeanor, her behavior, the way she's constantly nitpicking at Jackson and Yannetti, but yet she would let Lally and now apparently Hank just talk and speak and do whatever they want and make wisecracks and snark. And yet if Yannetti or Jackson do that, she's all over it, like right on it, right? And so it's so obvious and so blatant that you just have to feel sick about it, right? It literally makes you feel sick to your stomach for Karen, and that she has to sit there and watch all this go on in real time, right in person, right in front of her face. It's just terrible, just terrible. So, okay, let me pull up another clip here that I want to show you. Let me do that real quick here. And Julie's going to join us on the stage in a little bit. She's been doing some really interesting experiments in her own yard, which I'm fascinated about. And so I wanted her to tell you about it because I'm really proud of her that she was, she cares enough about this case and about Karen to do this. And I have something to show you too. I didn't purposely do my own experiment, but I sort of did my own experiment on Tuesday. And I'm going to show you that here in a minute. But let me pull up this next clip I want to show you first. So we're going to take a little walk back here in time. Normally we were doing all this on Friday nights, but I looked at this a little bit today, and I really want to talk to you guys about this, because as a patrol officer, you're first on the scene. So I was first on the scene to many vehicle accidents, motor vehicle, pedestrian. And then of course you're relieved by people higher up the food chain if it's something that is, a major investigation, or if there was a death investigation involved. If it wasn't just a simple accident, you're it, right? But if there's a death investigation involved in a motor vehicle pedestrian, then you're not it anymore. You then become traffic, securing the scene, things that they didn't do. So let's take a look at this. I want to make sure you guys can see it. Okay. All right. Perfect. Get this pulled. Whoops. Sorry. I did the wrong button there. There we go. Just let me know the sound's okay in the chat box.
If you could enlarge that just a bit. And Lieutenant, I don't believe that's the first photograph for you, but if you could locate that within the
Sure.
file.
I believe that's Exhibit 30.
And if you could just describe to the jury what, if anything, we're looking at in this exhibit.
So that is in front of 34 Fairview Road in Canton. It's looking westerly, or the direction towards Chapman Street, and it's documenting the conditions at the time.
May I approach the witness, John?
Yes.
Mr. Lieutenant, at any points, if I'm asked, or any, this is a later point.
Yes.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have the next photograph, please.
I have to poop.
Sorry. Oh, what a crazy commercial.
Stop! Are you trying to kill us? What?
That is simply documenting that the number 34 is on the mailbox. That is 34 Fairview Road.
Do you have a number on that in front of you?
Yes, I do. It's Exhibit 22.
Thank you.
There are two of these, I believe, or similar. I just want to make sure I have the correct one. 22. That would be 22, yes.
And what's depicted in that photograph, sir, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of sort of the scene in the roadway when you arrived that morning?
It is. It's the mailbox with the number 34 on it, and it shows two vehicles in the driveway of 34 Fairview Road.
And Ms. Gilman, the next photograph. If you could, Lieutenant, when you locate this, indicate which exhibit we're looking at in this one.
That's Exhibit 28. It's a different angle of the driveway showing the third car in the driveway. I wanted to document what was in the driveway at that time.
So I like to stop every few minutes and just talk a little bit because otherwise I forget something I might want to say. So something interesting. So take a look at the car on the left, right? Both the back windows appear to be snow covered, right? But look at the windows of the smaller car. The windows look like they have snow on them, right? Now look at the windows of the big SUV. I'm like, that's very interesting. Why is there not snow? Because if there's snow on the windows over there and that car would be blocking, and you'll see in a minute, because he points out which way the wind is blowing. He points out the flag. So I'm kind of curious about that. Now, I did not notice that. And so I'd like you guys to kind of process that a minute, because I could be wrong, but doesn't that make you wonder if at some point in the middle of the night, that car went somewhere? So the windows would have been cleared off, or the wind would have blown the snow off those windows. I'm just catching this for the first time, so I'm kind of surprised. The other thing I want to draw to your attention and talk about is they have constantly, and you know, Lally, in the first trial, all we talked about was the snow. He wanted everybody to say how much snow there was and how bad the blizzard was and the ground was frozen. And they need all that to be true because they want us to believe that John cracked his head open on that frozen ground. So they need the ground to be super frozen. They want us to believe that there was enough snow that he would have been covered so that when everybody left the house, they wouldn't have seen him. But I don't buy that. I never bought that for a second. I'm from Wisconsin, guys. I've seen a lot of snow. I've walked in snow. I had to patrol in snow. I had to do traffic stops in snow. I can see the complete tires of this car. That's not a lot of snow. And I don't believe there's any way, shape, or form that at 1 o'clock, 1:30, when everybody was leaving, the last person left the house at 1:45, 10 to 2, which was Caitlin, that there was enough snow to cover John's body. So how did 11 people, because there's 11, and I'll tell you who they all are, because I've gone over it a bunch of times, and I even showed Kara the other day. I wrote them all down on a piece of paper for 11 faces, and some of those 11 people multiple times peeping out the window, looking out the window for Karen, for John, for Ryan, and the truck full of, the truck with the young adults in. Brian Albert Jr. peeking out, looking for the truck. Julie Nagel peeking out, looking for the truck. So 11 people, but multiple times. So we're talking close to 20 times. And if he supposedly was hit by Karen and his body was already there at 12:32 or 12:30, or, they've changed the time so many times. Now we don't know what they're going to present in trial 2, but how did not one person, what are the odds, right? We go by odds and statistics when we talk about crime, when we talk about sports. Those of you that are sports fans like me, right? We go with the odds about things. We go with statistics that 11 people multiple times didn't see John. There would not have been this much snow at between 12:30 and 10 to 2 when they all left that house. This is in the morning, and that still doesn't look like enough snow to me to even cover a body where no one could see him, right? So these were all my big concerns back during trial 1 when I first saw this, but I did not notice how clean these windows look on the big SUV. So let's continue. We will talk about that. Rollover, high rollover 97, welcome. Look at the snow on the back bumper. Yeah, I do see that. But the car doesn't look like it has that much snow on it, does it? But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of snow on the back bumper there. And what are you implying that means? That this car drove somewhere? I'm just curious what you all think about this. Because I'm seeing this for the first time. I didn't notice how clean those windows looked. And I see the smaller car on the left, windows look to be snow covered. So as we go forward, we might get a better shot of this, but I'm happy to take any comments you guys have, and you can disagree with me if you want, please do. We all have our own opinions on what happened that day, but I think this constant, and now they're talking about bringing in a meteorologist. Are you freaking kidding me? Right? I promised my mom I wouldn't say the F word anymore on my show, but sometimes I like to, because it's just the word that works for this trial and for all the shenanigans going on. So yes, rollover. That's what I'm saying. Me too. Snow in the back. This V looks like it's been driving in snow. Right. And if this is the SUV they came home in from the waterfall, it was barely snowing at that time. There's no way that much snow accumulated on the back of this car while they were at the waterfall, and they can say that's where that came from. I agree with you, and that's why I really think something's up with that SUV, and that is, and think of it this way too. So remember when Lucky said the Ford Edge, right, was parked in front at approximately 3 o'clock, between 3 and whatever he said, 3:30, whatever that was. Well, when we do Lucky on Friday Night Lies, that I'm looking forward to that, because I think that man is a hero and he is not a liar at all. Is it possible, because he's colorblind, if this truck was covered with snow from wherever it moved to or wherever it went, right? If it had like enough snow on it, that he saw it as a lighter colored Ford Edge, because that's always been the hiccup for me. I've tagged a lot of my Twitter posts with hashtag Ford Edge driver, because whoever the Ford Edge driver is absolutely would have saw John's body lying there. There's no way they could have missed it. They were parked right in front of it. They would have had to have seen it. There wouldn't have been enough snow at 3 a.m. So that person had to be in on it, of sorts, right? Or let's just say, no, it was Karen's fault, then that person would have called 911 at 3 a.m. The call would have gone in at 3 a.m., not 6:03 or 5:55 or whatever time that final call went in, which Jen made. The Ford Edge driver would have been parked there, light shining right on John. So Lucky says he saw it there. I believe in 100% he saw a Ford Edge there, but he said it was light colored. And that always threw me off, because Brian Albert's Ford Edge is not light colored. But what if this snow, this is the first time I've thought of this, gave the impression to someone who's colorblind that it was light colored? And it was Brian Albert's Ford Edge parked in front of the house to block what they were up to. How about that idea, people? And Ken, hi, Ken. He says, hi, it's late here in England. I'll catch up tomorrow. I think that car is Jen McCabe. Oh, Jen McCabe's. Oh, really? Oh, right. Because she was there by the time, but was she, yeah, but I didn't think she pulled it in the driveway. I thought it was on the street. They weren't in Jen McCabe's though. They were in Carrie's car. And I think this is too soon for her to already be there, isn't it? Oh, hi, Suzanne. Good to see you. I know you're using your husband's account. I'm the other half of his name on YouTube. That's great. It's great to see you, Suzanne. Thanks for stopping in. I know it's the middle of the night. A good friend of mine is actually in London right now visiting his daughter. But thank you for saying that, Suzanne. And yes, Jen does have a large SUV, but yeah, so I guess it's going to depend on when this actually is then, right? Because remember though, Jen didn't have her SUV with her. They were in Carrie's car, right? Am I wrong about that? There's been so much with this trial, but it's just little things like this that we like to pick out on Friday Night Lies, because we try to find things that maybe nobody else has seen. I mean, this case has been picked apart, all the video, all the testimony, so much, but why not keep doing it? Maybe one of us will see something that someone else hasn't seen yet, right? So, all right, let's keep playing this so we can get a better feel for if this was. So what you're thinking maybe, Suzanne, is that this is when Jen came over to the house and had this family meeting with everybody, like at 7 a.m. Is that what you're thinking? Oh, great. All right, Julie, I see you backstage. I'm going to add you up. There she is. Welcome, Julie. Let me bring her up here for a minute so we can welcome her. Hi, it's so good to see you.
Don't make me big.
I'm not making you too big. I'll come on with you. There you go. You're not that big.
Can everybody see and hear?
Hey, there it is.
Me and my friend.
This is the black blob.
Yep, this is the Nago blob.
Unbelievable. Where did you find that?
Secrets. I'll never tell.
Okay, don't tell. It's okay. You can, yeah, keep it to yourself. But that, when you first showed me that, I laughed so hard I almost cried. I'm like, where in the world did she find a literal black blob to use for her demonstration? That is just fantastic.
It's good size too.
That is true dedication. Suzanne is laughing. She thinks,
Blown up, it's 5.5 feet. I mean, it's a pain in the ass. It won't fold exactly, but yeah, see,
it's perfect though. I mean, that's exactly what I was thinking in my mind, that Julie
5 to
Nagel
6 feet. There you go.
Trying to make us believe that she might have seen a black blob lying in the yard. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell this to anybody else ever before the trial, but let me tell you now, I think I saw a black blob in the yard. Yeah, that I can't wait to get to her testimony, to be honest with you, because man, was she a nasty bee. She was just nasty, nasty, nasty. I was so mad during her testimony. Her attitude was just coming across the screen like full force darkness, right? Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, she screamed at David and Eddie too. Like, I'm sorry, what was that? Can you repeat that question?
Exactly. All right, let's go back to the little bit here of our video, and then we'll come back with you and talk about your experiments that you did with the black blob and the solo cups and the snowblower. I'm fascinated with it. Let me take.
Well, we might have to do like a blooper reel at first, but yeah.
Yes. But it's still, I commend you for doing it. I honestly really do. All right, let's see here what we can find out, because this might have been at approximately 7 a.m. when Jen came back to the house with Matt McCabe. And yes, so that could be why there's snow in the back and why the windows are cleared. This might have been the McCabe's SUV and not. But then where is the Alberts? Because theirs was in the driveway too.
I think it's diagonal. So I think that's I think the rear of that car would be by the driver's side.
I wish we could see the plate.
Well, I think it might be obscured, maybe. But yeah, I think somebody definitely was driving that, because you could see it's probably defrosted in, and big cars like that, they have the defrosters in back.
Right.
On the side. I don't know why I'm pointing. Like, you can see what I'm pointing at.
For what he has to say here, as we'll keep watching for a little bit here.
Thank you. Next photograph is coming.
And I'll be right back, guys. I'm just going to check on the puppies.
It's Exhibit 29, and basically it documents the same thing. The entirety of the house from I guess it would be a westerly view, and the 3 cars that were in the driveway at the time I arrived.
And the next photograph is coming.
Thanks, Grandma Bell. See you soon. Maybe, hopefully tomorrow night.
I believe that's Exhibit 31. And it's a close-up of where Mr. O'Keefe was found. And you can see the very light pink spotting that we thought may be blood. And there was an object in the center as well, which we didn't know what it was at that time.
Subsequent, did you learn what that object was?
Yes.
What did you learn?
It was a broken clear cocktail glass. And the pink spot was frozen or coagulated blood.
And the next photograph is coming.
Have you heard about this brand new product that instantly cleans oven grease and mold without any scrubbing? Take any dirty
surface. Tell me more.
That's Exhibit 23. And it's basically showing that the scene was trampled by rescue workers, witnesses, etc. But you can still see, the pink spotting in the area where Mr. O'Keefe was.
As far as footprints within the snow that you observed, you indicated that the scene was trampled or walked over by first responders, correct?
Correct.
And the footprints that you observed, what footprints have you, so what areas around where Mr. O'Keefe's, where it was indicated to you that Mr. O'Keefe's body was, were those footprints located?
They were located between the street and where Mr. O'Keefe was found.
And as far as between where Mr. O'Keefe was found and the house or the residence at 34 Fairview, what, if any, footprints did you observe in that area?
I didn't observe any footprints at that time.
Ms. Gilman, if I could ask for the next photograph, please.
That is Exhibit 24, and it's showing a westerly shot of the scene. Mr. O'Keefe was found in this area here, and it depicts the wind blowing in that direction at the time.
And probably pretty self-evident, but depicts the wind blowing in that direction based on what?
The flag flying.
The next photograph, Ms. Gilman.
I'm going to go back a minute. Did you guys catch that looked like a snowplow coming? It was in the far right corner of that. I didn't catch that the first time on the trial either. Let me go back just a little bit because I have something to say about that. Whoops. Oh, crap. Darn it all. I just started. I think I hit the wrong button. Hang on a second. Yep, I hit the wrong button. All right, give me 2 seconds to redo what I need to pull up here because this is goofy how this works sometimes with YouTube. Here we go. Now let me try to go back to where we were. Oh. Sorry about that. I just accidentally hit a wrong button, so it's going to take me a second to pull it back up. So just give me a minute, take a stretch, whatever you need to do. I must have accidentally deleted it out. There we go. Okay, I have to remove this from our stage here a second and pull up the new stream. I must have accidentally hit a button and deleted it. I will get it right to you. They label these so much alike. I'm going to have to start relabeling them so that I can just label them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because they label them so much alike on YouTube that there we go. All right, I got it back for you now. Did you see that snowplow? I'm going to try to move it back now without doing what I did last time, which was hit the wrong button. It's very touchy when you try to go forward and backwards, so I'm going to try my darndest to get it there. You see that? Did you see that snowplow in the right-hand corner? Oh, I wish I could have stopped it in time. There, let me just run it.
The pink spotting in the area where Mr. O'Keefe was.
As far as footprints within the snow that you observed, you indicated that the scene was trampled or walked over by first responders, correct?
Correct.
And the footprints that you observed, what footprints have you, so what areas around where Mr. O'Keefe's, where it was indicated to you that Mr. O'Keefe's body was, where those footprints located?
They were located between the street and where Mr. O'Keefe was found.
And as far as between where Mr. O'Keefe was found and the house or the residence at 34 Fairview, what, if any, footprints did you observe in that area?
I didn't observe any footprints at that time.
Ms. Gilman, if I could ask for the next photograph, please.
And no other questions about footprints.
Exactly. He's just trying to point out that there was nobody from the house to the body. That's what he was trying to do.
But he didn't say from the backyard.
No.
That is Exhibit 24.
Now keep an eye on the right-hand side.
And it's showing
snowplow?
a westerly
something.
shot the scene.
I think it's a snowplow. Look at how I have
found in this area here, and it depicts the wind blowing in that direction at the time.
That's not a car. That's
And
not a truck.
Probably pretty self-evident, but
That's
depicts
not a Jeep?
direction based on what?
I think it's a Jeep.
Yeah, the flag.
I don't know. Let's see.
The next photograph, Ms. Gilman.
It's something.
Yeah, it's something, not a car.
I don't
so
know.
let me stop
Public.
it now.
It's something that looks like a work truck. Like
Right. But I was thinking, but could it have been not the city plow, but could it have been that private plow they were talking about that was going around the neighborhoods? Because if it was, there is no way a plow should have been allowed to come anywhere near that crime scene at that time of the morning. And of course, we already know how badly they screwed up by not securing the scene. The scene should have still been secured. It wasn't even remotely done being, gone through, as evidenced by how many times they came back and kept finding taillight day after day after day, right? So
rules what it goes for.
Yeah, the scene still should have been secured at that point. That was only roughly an hour after they took John to the hospital. So there most definitely shouldn't have been any traffic allowed on that road at that point, because they should have still been looking for evidence, right?
Yeah, I wonder if that was a city truck, or still shouldn't have been there, but
no, nothing. And did you see how close it was though, coming down the street? Whatever it was, heading with this light on.
Shit on top of the crime scene. Pardon my French.
Right. Because when they supposedly found his shoe, it was way down by the road, right on the curb, that little brim or whatever they call that, down by the road. There should have been no traffic on that road. That road should have been blocked, closed off. The family should not have been able to drive in there and park in the driveway yet. At that time of the day, that was just handled so poorly. And I don't remember who. I wish I should have taken a screenshot of it. Another officer that I'm on Twitter with, that we talk back and forth, he made a comment to me a couple days ago that they never should have allowed anybody on that street at all. And so the fact that the family was able to even drive and go and park in the driveway, there could have been evidence over there as well.
And bring donuts for freezing.
Exactly. That street should have still been blocked off, and it should have been just completely surrounded by crime scene tape. Giving us that excuse about the wind with the crime scene tape, I don't buy it at all. There's a flagpole there. There were trees there. They could have eased. And then if you have to use human bodies, you use human bodies to secure the scene. The fact they didn't do any of that, and they just left that crime scene like that, like, okay, we found 3 pieces of taillight, we're out of here.
Yeah.
That was absurd, beyond absurd.
We get nor'easters, we get blizzards, we get hurricanes, we get the whole 9, we get squalls. No reason.
Yeah. That was, and what he was mentioning too is that you can't screw things up that bad. It was on purpose. There's no doubt. As a former officer, he is, and I am, there's no doubt that was on purpose, because you can't be that bad. You just can't be that bad of a police officer and a police investigation unit to screw up a crime scene that bad.
Yeah, a lot of coincidences are not a coincidence.
Right. And that's exactly what happened in the Ellen Greenberg case, where they did not secure the scene of her apartment. They allowed her fiance's judge, to come in there and take her computer, her phone, her laptop, and her phone, and her purse. What the heck was he doing in there? And then they allowed the apartment to be cleaned before a search warrant was even issued to go over
you have to find all the incriminating stuff.
You can't screw up that bad. No police ever screw up that bad. That's how you see corruption, because nobody screws up like that. And this whole case, the way it was handled from the get-go with, whoever, the first officer on the scene, and everything that happened with this case from the beginning was handled so poorly, it's just beyond the pale, right? So tell everybody a little bit about what you've been up to with your experiments.
Well, I wouldn't exactly call them experiments. You can call them little tests.
Little tests.
Yeah. So, a little bit of background. With me, I'm no trooper. I have an associate's degree, and I took some online classes. Also, he has an associate's degree in administrative science. It's administrative something. I was trying to think of it.
Right.
Because there's been a lot of stuff going back and forth online about, well, an associate's degree is, qualifying. Yeah, if you have an associate's degree in physics, if you have an associate's degree in crime scene representation or something along those lines, not, oh, I have an associate's in administrative sciences and I took an online class and I'm the one that brought the crime scene to life because it spoke to me.
Yeah, that was insane. I just had to sit back and put my hands on my head. Like, I couldn't believe he even said that.
And the best part is all the people online saying, well, only if the Commonwealth brought a professional reconstructionist. That's Trooper Paul.
Exactly.
The Commonwealth. Like, why are we subsidizing? We have a Mass State Police crime lab that does all this shit. And they have to go get Jessica Hyde. They have to go get Ian Whiffen from the middle of the boonies in Canada. They have to go get that one. Why are we paying all these experts? They're on payroll. Use them.
Exactly. I have to grab the puppy for a second. I'm going to let you keep chatting with our live audience, and I will be right back.
me and my blob will take care. Yeah. So I mean, not to be all extra crazy and whatnot, but so a little bit background on me. I was born and raised in Boston. Went to school there, did all my stuff. Still in Massachusetts, on the North Shore of Massachusetts. I think 8 miles away at most. I went to school, have bachelor's of science in mathematics, chemistry, minor in biology and physics. I didn't really use a lot of that. I went into the math, statistics. I like data and all that analytical stuff. I am disabled, so I had to stop working, but my mind never stopped. So while this case is going on, a little bit background with the case, I started watching this case from the jump. Not a turtle rider, disclaimer, no turtle rider. I watched it just from the go because it's a local case. Affects a lot of us. And I mean, the way it was brought to us was this horrible thing happened where basically, in layman's terms, 2 drunk assholes went out drinking in the middle of a blizzard, which was supposed to be a blizzard when they went out. She dropped him off at a party, then did a 3-point turn, took off, went back to the house, woke up, said, oh my God, where is he? I don't know where he is. Called him, couldn't get an answer, went to go back to the place where she dropped him off, found him, and she said, oh my God, I killed him. And then was indicted, and the whole rigmarole started. And about 6 months into the case, Commonwealth makes their case of saying, yep, it was, an accident. She did a 3-point turn. And oh, by the way, we have video of all of this. So don't worry, that's coming. Then about 6 months goes into it and you go, wait a minute, what? Because a lot of this stuff didn't make sense. And a lot of what the Commonwealth was saying, they didn't have proof of, and they kept dragging their feet saying, yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Then Alan Jackson comes on board. Then you start hearing things about the feds. Then the pictures of the dog bite come out. Then the house launch diet cold. And you go, okay, this is a little bit different. So then you start looking at the other facts and you go, this is a lot different. Then the story changes with he was actually not hit by a 3-point turn. He was run over and he was dragged underneath the car. And then it was, he was hit. And that's when he got bit by a taillight came in. So that's how I started following. I followed just local news and watching the pretrial stuff. The only reason why I heard of Turtle Boy was associated with the case was that I would read Boston.com, which is the Boston Globe, read there and just read about the case. And there was always this, like they'd say, local blogger. And I kept saying to myself, it was like, who is this guy? Why is he hanging around? I don't get the connection. And then sometime in, I think, late 2023, they wrote an article saying that, there was a connection, that they were talking and that this was actually her friend. And then he got arrested and things quieted down and was like, okay, well, the trial is going to start. Then the trial happened and all hell broke loose. So fast forward to November, when everything just kind of hit the fan, everybody, who's mad at this one? Who's mad at that one? This one talked to this one. This one called me this. We're throwing gangster parties, disclaimer. All sorts of shit happened. And I remember one of the YouTube personality said, well, you know what? Why can't the people on the internet go out and like some people went to 34 Fairview just to see what it looked like when it snowed. They went to a turtle went to go drive the hills of Canton. People looked into texture data and all sorts of stuff. And I said, you know what? That's a good point. Why doesn't somebody do that? And then I started thinking, it was like, okay, why hasn't the defense done anything like this? Who are they hiring? What, is anybody going to do this? And I kept saying like, well, am I qualified? Well, not really. I don't want to hurt things. I don't want to, see what's going on. And I kept waiting. And I said, you know what? If I were to do something like this, and let's just say I were to do something to, test theories and try to recreate theories and situations here because I have some space. What would I do? What would I need? So I kind of thought about it. And then just one day we got snow and it was a cold smell. And somebody commented online saying, hey, this is about the same temperature that it was in Canton in late January 2022. And I said, you know what? That's true. And I just kind of thought very quickly and started to throw stuff together and started doing stuff, waiting for it to snow at certain times so we can get angles of, what might a black blob look like in the middle of a snowstorm? What might black blob look like from 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet, 57 feet, in the pitch black in the middle of the night with no snow, in the middle of the night with snow, different angles. I also found some taillight, tried to bust taillight. Didn't use my elbow because I know better. Used my hand. That was fun. We'll see that video at some point. Then buried that broken taillight in the snow and basically excavated it with like one bucket at a time. I also used a leaf blower that I got from Harbor Freight. That was also very interesting. So I learned some things. And so one of the things I actually learned by accident, I ended up sending Kat just kind of frantically. I sent her a quick video that I don't even know made sense. The video with Cocker Spaniel footprints and paw prints, boot prints going. I think this is what they were trying to hide with leaf blower as it was actively snowing. There was maybe about a half an inch of snow. And I said, hey, let me just get video of me, leaf blowing while it's actively snowing. And hopefully I don't electrocute myself. And I did that and said, oh, shit, I think this is what they were trying to hide. And lo and behold, we'll see. Well, yeah, once I figure out technology, I mean, I might be a millennial, but my heart is with the greatest generation.
Well, I think it's fantastic that you went through all of that. I'm so glad you shared it with everybody. I was listening while I was dealing with Tanner.
That's my bee.
I love it. I love it. Best show ever, man. I used to watch that show with my grandparents, my grandma especially. But
I remember it live.
I never ever thought that that the snowblower thing made any. I knew that it was nefarious.
Snowblower would make too much sense.
Right. It was nefarious. There was no doubt in my mind from the second that I heard about it. I was like, oh yeah, I know what they're trying to do with that. It's just amazing how, of course, those on the other side of the fence, right? They say that there's no way that they could have put this cover up together in such a quick amount of time. But it really wasn't that much if you think about it, right? It wasn't that much that they had to do because they had to basically not do anything. So it's easier to not do something than it is to have to figure out how to do something, right?
They had to get there first before anybody else showed up, but they couldn't get there until somebody else discovered him. So I think their plan was have Auntie Donuts come by and go, oh my God, look, John's on the lawn. And as soon as the rigmarole came, get rid of all the evidence. That's what the Solo cups and the Stop and Shop bags are over there, but Solo cups, Stop and Shop bags, right? Like you could say like somebody said online, and this is a good point. They said, well, you know what? If you take the Stop and Shop off of the logo, and put in like, police or evidence or whatever, that's basically anybody else. It's like, yes, that's true. However, you removed evidence from an active crime scene and brought it to an out of jurisdiction because they recused themselves from the situation, police department, where it stayed. And then the blood in the solo cups, they apparently never tested.
Right. And here's the thing too, that this really upset me, and you and I have talked about this several times. You have another police officer across the street. You have a police officer in the home of the yard where he was found. You couldn't wake one of them up and the solo cup thing. What was they say? 5 minutes back to the Canton Police Department. You can't go back and get some sterile evidence collection kit. Or even to another, or phone a friend. You couldn't, agencies back themselves up back each other up all the time. All the time in every city and you always will see another cruiser, sometimes on a traffic stop, or if there's a big incident, you'll see other municipalities coming to the aid. The fact that they didn't do any of that is just, it's so suspect. It's so wrong. And again, they think we're all stupid, and they're all so used to getting away with their shenanigans and their crime and doing things the way they want to do it, that they just figured nobody would figure it out. Everybody would go on with it. And, we've talked about this too, where they just assumed as if they literally pinned it on her, like, the pin it on the girl.
Yep, pin it on the girl. Yep.
Right out of the gate, that she would be intimidated and she would just take a plea for the manslaughter. That was an accident. I didn't mean to do it. She may not even have gotten jail time, right? That was their mentality, that once it kind of blew up in their face, that they were going to have to let Karen take the rap for it, because I don't think they ever intended her to.
Oh, what, take the rap? No, absolutely not. Because if you think about it, it would make more sense for them to say, like, okay, hypothetically, let's say that, this happened, in the house, out of the house, around the house, who knows? That doesn't matter. The point is that, it happened, and you go like, okay, what are we going to do? Lucky. But Lucky wasn't going to go down for second-degree murder or involuntary manslaughter. It was just going to be, hey, shit happens.
Right. It was an accident.
It covers it. All done. Right.
Exactly.
It was bad conditions. It's a snowplow. Poor guy, look at him, and that's it. Right. And that was going to happen. I think Karen screwed up their plan by saying, oh, she's here. Get her the fuck away.
Oh, yeah. No, I think she totally did. I think they were just going to make it look like an accident because that was the only choice they really had. Now, a lot of when I've been on my debate sessions on Twitter or on Facebook, a lot of the, anti-Karen Read folks are saying, well, why would they do that? Why would anybody, how stupid is that to put the person in your own front yard? But no, how stupid would it be to move the body somewhere else and put it in your car and have DNA in your car? And where are you going to move it to, right? Where are you going to hide the body? Where are you going to put it?
I was going to say the exact same thing. How ridiculous would it be where, let's say it happened outside, again, who knows? That's not for the defense to do. That's for the Commonwealth to do. But, let's say it happened outside, somewhere on the concrete in the back, in the driveway. That's, all asphalt and everything else. Let's say it happened there. Are you going to take that and bring it into your home somewhere, or on your person somewhere, like you said, in your car? And then, like you say, like, shit, what are we going to do? We'll wait until 6 o'clock and then we'll dump it. Well, what if, you're going somewhere and some, looky-loo is there, or somebody takes a picture? Then you're extra screwed.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And something that always bothered me too was they didn't really hone in too much on the fact that he had vomited at some point. And I'm assuming when that massive head injury occurred, that would have maybe caused a convulsion and vomiting. But yet that was never really honed in on, so that wasn't,
nope.
I wonder if they'll draw more attention to that in trial 2.0.
That's what I keep, I sent Nurse Kim, shout out Nurse Kim. I sent Nurse Kim a message because of the last live that she did. I think it was a Sunday, where she was talking about wrapping things up. She was like, oh, well, talk about, what's going on here. His head here, his head here, his head here. I was like, yes, please talk about this, because the neurologist, again, they show the trial locally, and I can't, sit in front of the computer or whatever it was. So it was like, okay, scream at the television, but go outside because it's nice outside and get air. And she was testifying, and I was listening along, and I'm like, okay, here, and then here, and that's all I got. It was like, okay, bruise, and then it was just swollen. And so it was like, okay, yeah, he gets struck in the back of the head, and then everything else swells and stretches and everything else. That's why Hank was talking about drilling the forget what the holes are, but drilling that. But she said, no, it's here, 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 and here, like he was in a fight. It was like, holy shit, keep hammering that, because like you get a diagram, just get a skull or something saying like there were multiple strikes. You could get a strike and swell and strike something else, but if there's blow that says, yes, this is a blow that came from here and it resonated here, but the primary blow was here, explain that. That's going to be the most
because again, they don't have to prove that someone else did it. They just have to show reasonable doubt that this couldn't have been right, that he couldn't have been hit by a car. So there's your reasonable doubt. Then what happened to him? Well, we don't know. We don't have any way to know, because they screwed up the investigation so badly. We don't have any evidence to show you who actually could have done this now, because it was completely, covered up. But we can give you enough reasonable doubt that you can't convict this other human being and send this person to jail without being able to say that I believe that she hit him with her car beyond a reasonable doubt to a moral certainty. So that's an extra caveat you have to get to in Massachusetts. And how do you get there with all of this reasonable doubt? I just don't see it. Like, I don't see how anybody who's a juror who's looking at this with all of their intelligence and due diligence could put that on a piece of paper and hand it to the foreman and say, I believe she did this. Because if you're going by reasonable doubt, you can't do that. You can't do that in a good conscience. That's what upsets me about the other jurors that hung it, because I just don't see it, how they even remotely thought that it was an accident.
Yeah.
There was way too much reasonable doubt to think it was an accident. And we clearly know now, thanks to Joe, the interview that Aiden did with Joe, the juror, that they were all 12-0 agreed that they were going to acquit her on the other two charges. So, again, this whole case from day one all the way through to now has been nothing but absolutely ridiculous, mishandled, lies being told, people not doing their jobs, covering things up, the whole nonsense with the jury and the foreman, and then again, he discouraged them from asking questions. Why would a foreman ever do that?
Well, that's the shit luck that you get with jurors. I mean, like I forget who. I remember somebody. I mean, this is years ago. It's not somebody who does YouTube stuff now. Said with juries, like the reason why you get like diagnosing jury not advocates like jury analysts and like sociologists stuff like that is to try to figure out like, okay, what kind of jury are you going to pick, because like at least half the time they're going to try to solve the case, and you have to tell them, hey, you're not going to solve the case.
It's not your job. Right.
Like,
it's like, not your job to solve the case. Yeah. And that I can see where that would be hard. I've never served on a jury. Yeah, I can see where that
Lally with his who, if anyone, what, if anything, were you driving? Was anybody driving? Was there snow? How high? This high? That high? Like, give me a break. What? It turns out it was.
Right. It's just a lot of noise. I talk about distractions. I mean, they were accusing the defense of having distractors, but that Lally's the one who was the king of the distractions and trying to put too much information in 12 people's brains, knowing full well that they weren't going to get to see the transcript, overloading them on high school basketball and where you sat and who was to your left and who was to your right. None of that mattered. That was all total BS, almost all of that testimony. And then the Aruba girls, that one really got me. That was utterly insane.
Mariella.
Yeah, both of them. I mean, that whole thing was insane. Trying to show that they, I get what their point was. They were trying to show that they weren't getting along, that they were arguing, but it was just so weak. And there's a lot of couples that argue and don't always get along, and so that whole thing was just weak, and it made it like the National Enquirer, like drama that was just not necessary or needed. Well, let's go back and watch a little bit more of our interview here. And
how long do you want to go for, or how long are you planning on going tonight? Because I want to show you, or at least try to do something. There's one video that I could show that's kind of like not really a bloopers, but I looked at it and said, what am I going to do with this? This doesn't show anything except that I made a mess and I don't know how to use a camera.
No, we have time. I figured we won't go too long tonight because we're coming back tomorrow night with Friday Night Lives, but we can show it now if you want.
Okay. Okay. You're going to have to, do I hit the present button?
Yeah. So hit the present button, and then you should see where it says share my screen.
Share screen. Okay. Share screen. Do you want to do tabs? Okay. I guess.
But if this doesn't work, I'll find a way for you to send it to me like in a Google Drive so that I can show it to everybody.
How? Oh, I can't show files on my.
There it is. No, it's there. It just came on. Now I have to add it to the stage. So stand by.
Yeah, but that's just like a generic window. That's just, see, it just shows, it shows
right.
Swampscott, or excuse me, I got to pronounce it the correct way. Swampskit, right. Because we don't know how to pronounce this here.
You should be able to go and type in whatever you need to now that we're sharing your screen, wherever your video is saved.
I mean, but that should be, oh no. That should be on, I mean, can I do the desktop?
Yeah, you should be able to keep, now we're just sharing your screen. So you should be able to just go ahead and type in whatever you need to type in to bring up your video. Are you you're sharing your whole screen, right? Not just a tab? We're experimenting, everyone. We're trying to, we want to see Julie's homemade video.
Yeah, I know. No, how about we do that later? How about we don't you tell me we did later? Let's see. What if I do this? Does that show anything?
What are you doing? No, we're just still seeing your screen.
Can you see pictures of snow?
No, we're just still seeing your screen. So I can I'll remove that.
Oh. Wait, really? Okay. Where the frig is? Okay, where's the thing that? All right, it's this one. Let me see if this plays, and let me see if I can do this. All right, this is dead in front of me. Okay, can you see?
We can hear it. Let me try to, yeah, we can hear it. We just can't see it.
Okay. Well, I mean, hearing's not going to do anything. I mean, I can tell you what.
If you can open that, if you can open that video in a tab, then we should be able to see it. So I'm going to remove you. I'm going to remove it. So stop sharing your screen. I'm just going to click stop sharing.
Okay.
There, I clicked stop sharing.
That's probably better.
Yeah. Now try it again. And just do, first of all, pull your video up first. You want to have it pulled up first.
Okay.
So have your video in a tab. And then when you have your video in a tab, then you should be able to share your screen and share a tab. And then we should be able to see it.
Okay. Where did I just go? Okay. Let's see. See, this is why I completely
great. when you learn on the fly, sometimes like in this being a relaxing get together tonight where we're not trying to do anything too stressful. We're just trying to hang out together and talk about the case and try new things. So
I know, right? That's
put your video in a tab first before you share your screen.
Okay, let's see.
And we'll see if that works.
You do like this. Let's see. Let's see. No, because we're still sharing, I guess. Let's see. Maybe is it a file? Slides in
Um,
PDF.
Yeah, you could do it that way,
Video
or
file? Yeah, let's try this way. Let's see. Oh shoot, where did I put them? God damn it. See, this is why I can empathize with Nurse so much, because she gets lost on the computer and I can't stand new whatever
Yeah.
this is. Knows.
well, while you look for them and figure out if you want to do a tab or not, I'm going to show the rest of that
Oh,
video.
wait, got it.
Oh,
Hang
you
on.
got it?
Let's see. Hang on, let's see. Is it gonna work?
Okay.
we
You're.
work
Oh,
in?
I
What
think
we
it's going to work.
doing?
You're on the
Is
stage.
it?
I'm bringing you to the stage
Yay!
now.
All right, this is
There
dead
it
in front of
is.
me. Okay, all right. So all right. Let me set the stage because
Yes.
I messed up with this. So let's see if you can figure out what I messed up with. And I don't know if I can rotate. Actually, I'm gonna have to figure out. Well, you know, we'll get to that bridge when we cross to it. Okay, so this is my driveway. My driveway is very long from where my car is. I backed it up as far as I can. I mean, I didn't. Well, at least with this one, it's about 60 feet.
I see that. Yeah.
It's about 60 feet. It's about 55, 56, depending on where I measure from the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And I tried to line up with, again, I don't know why I'm pointing. You can't see where I'm pointing. I tried to line up.
It's just human nature.
So I tried to line up and put the passenger side wheel right in the middle between the two garage doors.
Okay.
So what I did here was there was snow on the ground, but what I did was I left a little area about 15 feet untouched. I mean, a cat walked through twice
Right.
because you could see little cat paws and a bunny bounced by. But I mean, I didn't go there to, you know, stage anything. And so what I did was I said, you know what, it's cold, you know, let me just try for ha-has just to see what this looks like, because someone online said, well, you know, it was hard to see where Officer John O'Keefe was because it was dark and there aren't any lights and
Right.
people don't drive with headlights. And oh, by the way, there are moon shadows. And so it would have been difficult to see with moon shadows. And I said, did this person just say moon shadows?
They
I
did. They're
said-
coming up with any excuse they can to that 11 people did not see John O'Keefe in the front yard of the house.
Well, so then I said, okay, you know what? Let me take pictures, and the pictures are harder to see, but I took pictures. I shut off all the lights. I have lights to the left of the garage that illuminate, and then in the driveway.
Mhm.
Shut off all the lights to the house. I shut off all the lights there. To the right of me is the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay.
So for about 180 degrees, well, actually not really 180 degrees, because it's a little bit. So maybe 150 degrees, there's pitch black. Now I'm on the North Shore, Canton's on the South Shore. They're just either side of Boston, pretty close.
Right.
I think Canton's 11 miles from West Roxbury. That's the closest point to Boston. But there's cities on either side. There's Stoughton, Norwood, Westwood,
Right.
Dedham, all the other places. So the cities all around. 150 degrees of me is pitch black.
Right.
So when it's not snowing, it's pitch black.
Gotcha.
So those pictures, I have pictures with the lights on, the lights off in my yard. There's another yard to the left of the garage,
Mhm.
and I have three tall evergreens, and they're bushy. And so I said, you know what? Let me just for haha stick this, stick Blobby in the bushes just to see if I could, see and walk by and see if I notice. Well, that
Right.
didn't go as planned because it's pitch black again. Nothing's there.
Gotcha.
There are street lights, but the house blocks the street lights. So again, I took pictures. I mean, if I were looking and saying oh, hey, is a dog out here or is there an animal? I would see. But if I wasn't, not so much. I also did this when it wasn't snowing. Now there's a big difference when it's snowing, and we'll show those later as we get nearer to the trial.
Right.
There's a very big difference when it snows. It gets very bright because of the refraction from the light. It bounces off. It makes everything nice and bright.
Yeah.
So you could see a lot better. However, when you have headlights, and
Yeah.
like Higgins said, he said, I was by the mailbox.
Right.
and John was by the flagpole. He said it was 1 o'clock. There's dead ahead and 1 o'clock. That's 30
Yep.
degrees.
Yep,
If you
it
look
would
dead
have
ahead,
been 1 o'clock. Yeah.
so if you look dead ahead, so if you look at the middle, closer to the middle split between the two doors,
Yeah.
that's about dead ahead. Right by where the feet are is 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So
And it's,
this is
I saw it immediately, you know, when you started talking, I'm like,
So
okay,
this
there's
is-
your
yeah.
black blob is right there, is right
Yeah.
next to the house,
So-
just past.
Yeah, so I mean, this just goes
bushes.
quick. So I screwed up because, well, two things. Number one, I mean, my bike's off to the side, but there's a grill there that that kind of sort of obscures it a little bit. But I forgot to take my trash can.
Yeah.
So
But
I'm like,
you know
well, you know, let's make it
it's
more
okay, though,
accessible.
because it's sort of a point of reference that you can obviously see your trash can, but that's obviously
Yeah.
a black blob laying there by your garage. In the headlights are illuminated, and that kind of goes to the point of
Yeah.
what we were talking about earlier. That if the Ford Edge pulled up in front of that house at 3 o'clock, as Lucky said, there was a Ford Edge parked there, and they would have had their headlights on because they would have been pulling up wherever they were coming from. It would have shown on the yard just like that. It would have been, the body would have been till the 1 o'clock of the Ford Edge facing that direction, the flagpole on the right. And so they would have had to have seen it. So then if the Ford Edge was truly the first person to come upon John O'Keefe at 3 a.m., if all those 11 other people didn't see him when they left the house, then he would have, that person, he or she would have called 911. So that's why none of it adds up, right?
We'll
I mean,
get to that.
Lucky's testimony is just one more, you know, piece of the puzzle with all of the other pieces that show that they are lying.
Well, yes. So I mean, I did this one. I did, I think, a week later, and then I did on the 29th because it was how fortuitous. The night of the 29th, around midnight, it started snowing, and we got about 3 inches of snow. And so I said, you know what? It's good timing. Why don't I take my blob? I originally put the blob there, and said, you know what? Let me try to bring it up just a little bit more so that, you know, I mean, you can still see it here, but let's try to, you know, get the whole thing out.
Right. Is this the only one we're going to show?
Oh, no. This is the only one we're going to show tonight.
Okay.
I'll show you the other ones, and then we can figure stuff out. But that one, I stayed in the car for about 3 hours. The reason why I stayed in the car for 3 hours is because I put the blob out and said, you know what, let me stay in the car, because just in case somebody comes by and says, oh my God, there's a body, let me call the police.
Yeah,
said,
exactly.
Stay in the car and just, you know, hang out and just, you know, reflect. So I ended up just hanging out and just watching, and we'll see what happens there with that. But yeah, I mean, whoever was driving cars that night.
So is this your still photo that you took?
Oh, no, this is the video. And
this is a video. Okay.
Yes, this is about
it?
5 minutes. So, I mean, so it's just basically just me talking, saying like, hey, this is what it looks like. This is eye level.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Approximately 55 feet away.
Yeah, see?
From the garage door.
That's, I mean, I basically
straight.
explained it.
Stop about 30 feet.
This is 30 feet diagonal from my seat to midsection, mid-torso.
So this is looking straight ahead. This is looking at the wheel. This is about what I see. So turn this way. Actually, you know what? That would have been better to do.
Yeah, see? Because I'm awesome at technology.
No, but I love what you're doing here, and what your point of it was to show that with headlights shining at that distance, that it would, whoever pulled up in that Ford Edge would have been able to see John. No doubt, right?
Well, not so much just, I mean, not the Ford Edge, but anybody who was driving. So I think it was Matt McCabe who was driving. Brian Higgins absolutely would have seen the exact. This is exactly what Brian Higgins would have seen.
Right. Anybody that left that house that was facing that direction, that turned their headlights on, would have absolutely seen John in the front yard. We all know this. And the fact they're trying to, you know, tell us that that's not that's not possible, or that they didn't see that is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
right?
I think, and I think that's why. Okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to see. All right, we're going to have to, test this out. But I mean, you could use your imagination just to. I mean, I don't know if we can rotate.
Let's do it again this way. Wow.
Nope. Okay. All right, we're going to have to deal with this just temporarily. I mean, again, this is like the test one that I said.
Take two.
Let me just test this out.
This is a better shot.
Yeah, see, because it's wider. But this is exactly what Brian Higgins would have seen.
Right. So he couldn't have missed it. If John was laying in the yard, he would have seen it. He would have seen it.
Straightforward.
Anybody that pulled up with headlights facing that direction.
Yeah, and he was parked approximately 40 feet away.
To the dark object, Nagel's blob, approximately 30 feet. And it is 16 feet from midline car, which is where I am, to where the blob's head would be. About 13 feet from midsection blob right to me, looking linearly this way, horizontally, which is further than what Trooper just did. Said this.
Yeah, so what I mean by that is, hang on. So what I mean by that is, since they don't have a marking of where he exactly was, he estimates that he's between 8 to 10 feet from the side of the road, but I don't know if that's from his feet, his midsection, his head. So I said, again, trying to make it as hard as possible to say, all right, we'll start with as hard as possible, and we'll get, easier and easier and easier. And it turns out as hard as possible for just about everything that I did worked. So no excuse really. So that's what I meant. So this
was a really good experiment. I'm excited to see your other videos. Maybe we can even show one tomorrow night at the end of Friday Night
So
Live.
if I turn my head slightly. Again, still driving.
Oh no, what happened? Oh, is that it? No.
All right, this is dead in front of me.
No, that can't be it. Was it?
We are
we've got
55 feet away.
I'm going to just remove it for now because
was that really it? I guess so. Okay.
Yeah, we've got the gist of that, and that was a good experiment. I mean, you clearly showed that with your headlights that far away, there was an obvious person laying, what looked to be a person laying by your garage door.
Let's see. Was this the one that we just played? Oh, wait a second. Let me see what this one looks like. Do you mind if I show one more? I don't want to take up all your.
No, this is what we're doing tonight. I wanted you to show your experiments, whatever you had available. If we could share the screen.
What is this one? All right, that should be my dash of my car.
Alrighty, so it is January 29th, 2025.
Okay, so this is the other one. Hang on, let me pause this one for a second. All right, so this is the other one that I did. So this is me sitting in the car. So this is about like a half an hour after it started snowing.
Okay.
So I went out and it just started to flake. And again, it started as just like light flurries.
Light snow.
And it's what did I say? It was 12:48. I mean, that's fast. It was something like that. It was like 12:48. I think I stopped doing this at 3:30 in the morning. So I stayed out for until past 3 to say, hey, this is what the plow would have seen. This is what anybody who came by between 12 and whatever time would have seen until 6 o'clock in the morning.
That is
7
dedication.
a.m., 28 degrees Fahrenheit.
No, scooping snow in a bucket is dedication.
So it's 4,700 hours.
See.
Just got in my car. Just started snowing.
Yep.
And because
looks like a guy laying in your driveway to me.
To things, we're going to do this again, but it's actually appropriate because it's snowing. So
it looks just like somebody is passed out by your garage door.
I moved over a little bit to the right. But this is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, see, I'm a little bit more towards the divider.
Yeah. But those look like 2 feet.
Let me get
repositioned.
So again, my wipers are going. There's active snow.
Mm-hmm.
You can see.
Yeah.
It's also brighter. I don't know if you can notice between the two, but it's brighter.
Let me go a little
Yes.
more. Okay.
Snow definitely lights it up.
I think I showed it in this
All
one.
right. So it's
I
snowing.
think you're
so you can
amazing
see
that you were
there's
willing to do this
faint
experiment.
dusting. Try to get as full photo as possible. All right, so that's just about eye level. But I am. All the lights are off. Let's see if we can. Oh, okay. This
Yeah,
is what it looks
see?
like without any lights on.
It gets brighter.
Now it's snowing, so it's brighter than what it usually is.
But yeah, you wouldn't be able to see if someone was there if you didn't
Alright,
have
yeah,
lights
we're still
on.
recording. Okay,
No.
so it's brighter. That's usually you can tell when there's a storm coming, it gets a little brighter. Okay, so that's still
I mean,
eye level right in front.
yeah, it's harder with the
See
camera,
what that
but
looks like.
you could make it out a
Now,
little.
I don't know if that's gonna.
Probably with your naked eye, you might have been
Show
able
up
to
on
see
video,
something
but
that was there, but it's
what
not
I
going to
could
show up
see-
on video. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I just said what I
I
could
see
see.
there's old snow, which I left for this
Yeah, we
exact
could
reason,
see
so I had a white
A little
spot
bit.
in front of me and on the side so we could show some contrast. But I see nothing out of the ordinary, but it looks like there's a little something. The garage door on the right that I can't quite make up, but it looks like there's a pair of shoes sticking up.
But remember, nobody would have been looking at it like
then
this because
when-
everybody that left, the porch light would have been
Turn
on
the
when they
lights
left,
on.
or their headlights would have been on. When
We
they
But
see
watch,
left.
as soon as the headlights turned on, this is
So
exactly
this
what
is
you
probably
see.
about twice the distance
Then it's obvious that there's
of
something
what Higgins would have seen getting in his car. Now again, he had a Jeep, which car that I'm in right now is a little higher than a Jeep, but it had a snowplow on it. Now snowplows on a Jeep aren't these big fucking monstrosities that you see on the highways.
there. Right.
They're little itty bitty things. Also, they can't fucking be all the way up here, like what he was saying, oh, well, I had it adjusted so that it obscured all my fucking views so I can't see it.
My apologies to your mother, your Midwestern
You're okay.
Wisconsin mother. I apologize. Disclaimer: I can't help where I'm from, and
Very
sometimes
disclaimer. It's okay. We swear in the Midwest too. We swear in Wisconsin. It's all good.
yeah, but not like
But
this, dropping
this
MFers
was
and
a-
everything else, trying to
this
explain a
was a-
video because I forget that I'm
Well-
talking to the phone and not like, oh, this is going to go on the internet to talk to people.
Exactly. You're in your own
Everything
car doing
past
your
here.
experiment, but
Conveniently,
Yeah,
it's down like front where here. So at the most, you'd see a little bit like this obscure.
mhm.
Yeah, more towards the end of the fingers on the right.
What does that not cover? But it's convenient if you don't have some asshole sitting in your driveway
See,
doing shit like this to show
like
what it actually would look like. But all right, so now we're gonna get closer, and again, we're gonna be about 30 feet from line of sight to where officer just did. The crime scene told me what position the body was in, so I listened to it. That placement was. So just go nice and slow.
Yeah.
Okay, now if I turn my head slightly this way, I can make an outline out.
Yeah, I can see the feet, to the right foot.
And snow's coming down pretty good. Let's see.
Yeah, so this shows you. So you can see what it looks like facing north. So that's north.
See,
Now this is south.
see, yeah, see, it's bright.
Yeah.
You can see right there,
Yeah.
it's bright.
Yeah, I mean that's
Wow,
closer to what
that did
what,
make it better.
what the
Okay,
street would have
yeah,
looked like in
right.
Canton.
Not
Not as
because of
bright,
the
but
light,
at least it would have been a
because
light.
Sky, see, sky's different
Yeah.
color.
Yep. It's always
Well,
lighter.
it's
when
just
it's
a little
snowing
faint color.
like
So we're supposed to get like 1 to 3 inches.
Yeah, you can see it's
That's
just,
what
it's
we're
just like
actually going to
nothing.
get. Now just come here.
Yeah, that's old snow.
So let's say, I don't know, you were in a group, people getting into a car, eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Somebody turns the lights on. What would you see? You'd see that.
Yeah, you'd see my mess, and then
Now
you'd see it.
again, I tried to make it as hard as possible because some person online, to put nicely, said,
Yes.
but what about the moon shadows? What about the moon shadows that covered and obscured his body? So I
Yeah,
said,
well,
all right, let's
they'll come
try
up
to
with
factor
every,
in moon shadows. What the fuck
they'll
that
come up with
means.
anything they can come up with to make excuses why
So I put it
11
next
people-
to the lower unit of a 25 horsepower Evernote outboard.
Mhm.
But I
my
have an
grill
outboard
that
over
I
there too.
didn't put away before it snowed. And then the other day I had trash can out, but that's what you'd see. You'd say,
Yeah, so the
hey,
trash can's
something
missing.
looks out of the ordinary.
Exactly.
And for my next trick, I'm going to pull that out so you can see how much snow is actually covered on it. Let's see. Come over here.
So yeah, so this just started. Okay, so I thought
trying
it
to
started
show
a
my
little bit
plate.
earlier,
Because
so
the
this-
internet's just terrible.
but you could see if there was no
Very-
snow, basically.
Yeah, see, and look at this. This was puffed up.
Oh yeah, and it shrunk because it was
Look at
cold.
this.
So it
This
just
was puffed up fully. Came outside. Immediately shrunk.
Yeah, he doesn't like the cold. Your black blob does not like the
Yeah,
cold.
see,
Bagel's
no.
blob does not like the cold.
Here's what we're
Julie.
gonna do. I'll put you right over here so that we have a nice contrast.
Yeah.
See? Hang on, let me get in better position.
And I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna see if I
Nice, all
can
the way.
shut. Yeah.
Yeah, see?
So
we
if,
could see.
Miss Julie Nagel would have really seen
That is
a
white all
black
around.
blob, which
We're
could
gonna
have been
see
John O'Keefe,
What, 1
she
inch
would
of
have
snow,
yelled out. She
2
would have
inches
told
of
the
snow,
whole
3
car.
inches of snow.
Hang on. Let's see. Does this show it better?
Looks like
So this is what it's gonna look
covering
like
this.
if there's headlights and it just started snowing. But there was snow on the ground. Remember, the
Yeah,
ground
that's
was
a good
covered.
spot.
Jen McCabe
Okay.
said that. She said
I'm
the
just
snow
gonna
just
see if
started to
that
accumulate.
covers.
And you can look at
Right.
Karen's car. There was snow accumulation on the windows.
Right.
So,
But there
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
enough snow where his body would have been covered.
No, but there would have been
All
snow
right.
on the ground for contrast, because that was the other thing too, which
Right.
was, well, he was wearing dark clothes and the dark ground, and but it was
Right.
like, wait a minute, even with a couple of flakes, you still would have seen contrast.
Right. There
Um,
was enough snow, and you saw
so-
it when they came out of the waterfall. So
Yeah, and that's it.
there
Okay.
was
All
enough
right.
snow
So-
where you would have at whatever time they left, which was approximately 1:30, 22. They left right before Caitlin, so there would have been enough snow on the ground that they would have seen the contrast.
After an
So-
hour? Well, so we'll get to that later when we show more videos. I mean, I'll
Okay.
show you, but we'll see what it looks like after an inch, after 2 inches,
Yeah.
after accumulation. So you could see, like, well, was he actually buried? Because I think that's the point that they're trying to make, which is, was he
Right.
buried in the snow, or was it just a light amount? Now, again, I don't know what.
Well, I think they're trying to get us to believe that he was covered in snow.
Well,
And
so
that's,
that's
and
just
then
the
that's
thing.
why no one would have seen him. But there wasn't enough snow at that time, that time frame that they all left the house and that they were all peeking out the window. There
Yes.
wasn't, it hadn't snowed enough for him to be covered in snow.
Well,
so that
so for-
argument doesn't make
Well,
sense.
So even at 3 o'clock, so later, we'll see what it actually looks like, and you could make the determination, but it's going to show.
Yeah.
Even with a fair amount of snow, like 2.5, I think by the time it was between like 2 and 3 inches. We ended up getting 4 inches that day. It was
Yeah.
between 2 and 3 inches. Even with that, you could see something. I'll just leave it at that.
Right.
You
right.
look and go, is that? And that's the reason why I stayed in the car. It was like, there's no way I could just stay here, because I was just going to leave it and say, oh, I'll let it bury because we might get 4, 5, 6 inches. Who knows? It was like, you know what? Again, I don't want, I have neighbors. If somebody was to drive
Right.
by and go, oh my God, is she unconscious? She's
Yeah,
crazy.
they would
person.
think it was
She's
you
so crazy
laying in
coming
your
to the
driveway.
Did she
Right.
pass out and do something crazy and call the police? And
Well, from that distance, it does look like a human. It seriously does.
Yep.
Well, I applaud you for your experiments, and I'm
I'll
looking
keep
forward
everybody
to
on pins
seeing.
and needles.
Yeah, I'm looking forward
in
to seeing the rest of
anticipation.
your experiments. Absolutely. Well,
Wait until we
this
get to the coconuts.
yeah, yeah. That's gonna be
Got a
good.
lovely bunch of coconuts too.
It helps because this is just such a dark, depressing situation with all of the lies and manipulation and just the constant just tomfoolery going on by everyone involved in this case and just downright corruption. And it gets depressing. And so we have you doing these experiments, it makes us laugh a little. Yes, because we have to keep a little bit of a sense of humor about ourselves with all of this darkness and sadness that's surrounding this case. So let's just take a little peek at the rest of the video that we were showing just to see what else he has to say. I'm going to remove these extras. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm
The
just
worst.
oh, no, I don't want to do
While I
that.
was doing those two videos, JFK and I don't remember if James Jackson was there, but I know JFK did. And again, shout out to James Jackson and
Yeah.
JFK. Those guys are awesome.
Yes, they are doing a really good job. They play a lot of music. They're very entertaining.
Parties.
Yeah, they're very entertaining. They play a lot of music, and it's very interesting to listen to them. It definitely
They make good
is.
points too.
Oh yeah, absolutely, they do. Well, you know what? Maybe we won't go back to that tonight because we're going to end up showing that anyway when we go over his testimony. So your browser has blocked your screen. Click the icon in your edge. Okay, I don't want to worry about that. So we'll go over his testimony anyway. He's on the list. So I just wanted to show a little bit of that tonight, just because I'm just fascinated by this meteorologist that they're supposedly bringing in, and it just lends to the experiments that you did. And they're just obviously they're going to hammer in the whole snow thing again and how much it was snowing and how frozen the ground was. And we're going to have to listen through all that again. Now let's close out tonight talking a little bit about what happened with the motion to dismiss. I mean, I don't think let's pardon the pun. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell that Bev is going to say, okay, goodbye, dismissed. You're free, Karen Reed. I don't think so, but I give them credit for trying it. Right.
So I saw that there was a motion and
that was just filed yesterday. It came on the heels of the ridiculous situation that happened on Tuesday. They filed a motion to dismiss the entire case, and they listed
what were the reasons that they gave?
Oh, I have to go back. Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow night on Friday Night Lives. I don't have it pulled up for tonight, but I
saw pictures and a lot of it was redacted.
Well, they listed
I'm not going to bother.
Right. So, but they did list the ones that I saw today were the Sally Port, the misrepresentation, the Sally Port, the jury issues. And there were two more. They listed 4 today, but I'll go over that tomorrow night before we get into finish Brian Albert's testimony. We'll just maybe the redactions will be removed and we'll see what that is tomorrow. So then we can talk about it. But I think it's worth it that they did it, but I don't see Judge Bev. There's no way she's doing that.
No.
There's no way she's dismissing this. They should.
Well, I mean, if ifs and nuts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry fucking Christmas. But that's not going to happen. So
exactly. You know how I was talking a little bit about how in crime and in sports we go by the odds, we go by statistics, right? So I have to close out the night with a little sports for you guys. I'm going to show you what happened at the end of the Michigan State Maryland game last night. My Big Ten conference game that. There were 3 Big Ten games last night. And of course we're on the heels of March Madness. So I have to show you, let me find it here. I've got it saved. Let me pull it up for you to show it. No, that's not the one I want. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share this with you. So in case you missed it, or if you're not as big a sports fan as me, this is definitely something worth looking at. And it's let me make sure you can see it. There it is. Okay. Let me pull. I'll try to make it bigger for you guys here. See if it'll let me. Oh, it might not. Oh, this is off of Fox Hoops. Well, I'll just play it and see what you can always go look for it yourself.
Gillespie for 3. Call or no. Holloman looks the clock. Half court for the win. Oh!
the fans, the reaction from the Maryland fans is priceless. Almost everybody has their hands on top of their head. So a lot of people, were calling it. A lot of people were calling it a lucky shot, right? But I'm going to play it one more time for you because let's see if it'll.
Gotta go. Gillespie for three. Call or no. Holloman looks the clock. Half court for the win. Oh!
One of the Celtics did something like that from like half court.
Holloman from half court to win it on the road.
And everybody put their hands on their heads. If you look through the crowd, almost all the students have, it's like a visceral reaction. You put your hands on your head when something like that happens. But what made me think of it today, and just to talk about it as far as what how it has to do with us, this case, is because statistics play a big role in sports, and odds play a big role in sports, and same with crime and corruption and solving cases, right? So they were talking about how that was just a lucky shot, but I don't see it that way, because if you look at the body mechanics of the shooter, he has practiced that before. A lot of players, a lot of shooting guards practice the last minute buzzer beater. You could see in his body that he literally he was running when he shot the ball, and he leapt up in the air like a gazelle. He had one leg in the air, and his follow through was almost perfect. I mean, it swooshed through the hoop. It didn't hit the backboard. It didn't touch anything. It was nothing but net. That was also skill. He had obviously practiced that, and you could see the skill in it. So I don't buy it that it was just luck, right? And so a lot of things, when you're trying to solve cases, when you're working on cases, sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you run across a piece of evidence that no one else saw. So yes, you get lucky. But other times there's skill involved, and that's why we're doing Friday Night Lies, and we're going over the testimony and trying to all kind of look at it with different eyes and try to find anything that might be something that could help. You just never know, right? So today I saw something on Twitter X, and I'll show you guys tomorrow night for Friday Night Lies. Somebody has written that they think that they have found something in the looking through the evidence, looking through the police reports, I'm guessing, and Matt McCabe's testimony, that maybe it was Matt McCabe that did the House Long to Die in the Cold search, not Jen. And she's saying she's going to give us more tomorrow. She's like letting out. Now, I don't know for sure if this is, true or not, because it's on Twitter X, but it's someone who follows the case. I can't think of her name right now because I've read so much today. I looked at so many different videos preparing to talk a little bit tonight. But I'll talk about tomorrow night on Friday Night Lies. You're not on Twitter X, right, Julie?
Me? No. I cheat. I go on I forget the site. I think it's Sotway or something like that. And I do like a Boomer does. Boomer Love. And I do like each individual account, and I have a screen open for that. And I have like 97 tabs open, but like I look at all the important ones, like who's saying this, who's saying that. But is it the Grace person, Dream Feed Media?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's great. No, she's had some great stuff. No, I don't think it's Grace. It's someone that I'm not as familiar with. So I will let you guys know tomorrow night. I'll go do a deep dive into it tomorrow morning when I get up, and I'll find it. And she talked about letting more out as she gets closer to telling us. But her little caveat, her little hint was that she thinks that Matt McCabe is the one, and that he was downstairs, and something to do with the phone records. She thinks that he was not up in the bedroom, that he was downstairs when he made, and that he's the one who made the House Long to Die in the Cold search. So this could be very interesting. And if she found this, it's just because of deep diving and taking a second look at the evidence, a second look at all the documents and all the testimony. And the social media world does help solve crimes now. It happens a lot. And so you can be kind of an armchair quarterback, an armchair detective, because look at how many people have taken videos and helped solve crimes by just being there with their phone and having the guts to take a video of something that was going down, right? So I just find it all fascinating. I'm really glad we got the chance to just hang out tonight and talk a little bit about the case and how the police just completely botched the initial
approach and not securing the scene and not separating the witnesses and all the things that they should have done that they didn't do really screwed this case up for, I think, in my opinion, being able to ever prosecute who actually did it. But, time will tell. Maybe somebody will crack, somebody that knows, that was there that night, that knows what happened and agreed to help cover it up by just shutting up, not necessarily involved in the cover up, but just by not saying anything about it. What's going to come out, now in the next week with Judge Bev making up. So what we started out with was a recap of what happened earlier in the week on Tuesday. And there's 3 things now that Bev has to rule on. One of them is, was there misconduct by the defense, by the attorneys? Number 2, if she rules yes, there was misconduct, then number 2, what's the punishment for that going to be? Do a number of things. She could kick them out of the case. She could fine them. She could put in for them to be disbarred. There's all kinds of things she could do, the least of which would be fining them. And then the third one is, can the ARCA witnesses now, can they still testify after this all comes out? So those are the 3 things she's going to rule on. And I bet it's going to be sooner than later. I mean, I think it'll be Tuesday that she will make her decision. Don't you?
Yeah. She's going to come out Tuesday. And I mean, I know that you don't think this is the case, but I think that she's looking for any excuse to send the defense on their way. She's looking for any excuse to get rid of AJ.
Oh no, I agree with you. She's never liked him. She had, that's been very clear. She's been hard on both him and Yannetti from the get-go. She doesn't like their tactics. She doesn't like their theatrics, but yet Hank can now do theatrics way more than Lally never did any real theatrics. Lally was just, Lally. Yeah. So now she's dealing with Hank, who is way more theatrical and way more almost, even with kind of a Jackson style. So, but she's letting him get away with whatever he wants to get away with. She hasn't scolded him once. She hasn't put him in his place. She didn't say a word about him misrepresenting who gave him the emails.
No,
where is his sanctions for that? Where's his slap on the wrist for that? Right.
Well, he did come back and say, and I think he caught himself and said, "Oh, just by the way, because I see that you're very, very, very upset, and we're going to do a whole thing."
How do you prove that? Right. How do you prove that he misspoke? But he there's no way he misspoke. That's too big. That's too big. Getting that mixed up. Who gave you the email when that's your whole point in the first place? That you're trying to draw out that they did something wrong, and then you're going to get it wrong as to who gave you the actual emails. It's crazy, guys, and it's going to continue. There's just going to be, and then the whole thing with Paul O'Keefe, and now everybody's going crazy with that, and people made posters with his photo from the bathroom, shirtless photo. There were people with posters out in front of the courthouse now with that, and oh my gosh, I don't like that.
Like, I get it. Like, okay, fine. He pissed you off. He's doing the wrong things. He associates with, the bad people. But you know what? Like, Sean said it. Melanie said it a long time ago.
It has nothing to do with it.
Give them grace. Like, they grieve however it is. Peggy O'Keefe is, old school Italian lady. You want to see somebody hold a grudge. Go talk to an old school Italian lady, 40, 50, 60 years. Forget it.
I bet. And I don't really care about his personal life. I mean, what he's doing in his personal life is his personal life. It doesn't really affect getting justice for John and freeing Karen Read. So I don't really care about it.
Even more. Like, just talk about shit like this. Talk about science and, showing representation of what, what you
I don't want to get involved in all the drama, the outside noise and drama. Those are the distractions. Just stick to the facts.
I don't like it.
Going over the evidence. Going over the witness testimony and going over the evidence and looking at things with new eyes and fresh eyes. And that's really, all we can do while we're waiting in this waiting zone for the next trial. And if anything bad does come out of this, then the trial is going to get pushed. So that's the chance that Judge Bev's going to take. If she does anything really, horrific to Jackson and Yannetti, then there will be no trial date on April 1st. There's no way.
What? Well, I mean, Bev's, rearing to go. And I mean, if she has her way, she's going to say, Alan Jackson, bye. Don't let the door hit you.
If she does
that, say, guess what? You have enough counsel. April 1st.
I don't think so, though. Then she's risking though. That would be really risky, because then that just gives them so much ammunition for an appeal beyond, that for a mistrial. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think they could kick Jackson out and not give her time to replace Jackson. And I don't see that happening by April 1st. So she's going to have to tread very carefully, whatever she decides to do between now and Tuesday. It's going to be really quite interesting. So everybody who joined us live, thank you so much tonight for sharing your thoughts in the chat, in our conversation space. Thank you, Julie, for coming on the platform. It was so great to get to talk to you, and for your experiments, and for the Julie Nagel blob that will go down in infamy, right? So we'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow night, guys, with Friday Night Lies, and we'll be finishing up Brian Albert's testimony, picking him apart with a fine-tooth comb. Moving on to his kids, Brian Jr. and Caitlin, going through their testimony as fast as we can tomorrow night, because we're getting closer and closer to the big dogs that we really, really are pretty thrilled to be able to go over and just pull out everything we can that was not accurate or correct. Hi, baby. Hi. What's your name?
That's Tazzy.
Tazzy?
Yep, Tazzy, like Tasmanian devil.
Oh, how pretty. Is it a brown lab, chocolate lab?
Nope, he's an English Cocker Spaniel.
Oh, that's right. He's a cocker. Oh, there. Now I can see him. Yeah. Oh, he's beautiful. Hi, buddy. Thanks for showing him. All right. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining me tonight. It was great just to kind of have a little bit of a calmer night. Next week, I will be having a more in-depth review of Suzanne Morphew, where her case stands, and Suzanne Clark Simpson, where that case stands. So we're going to be looking into both of those cases in a little bit deeper dive next week. And I'm not sure if it'll be Wednesday or Thursday. That'll depend on Kara. We're going to finish up with all of the witness interviews and the kind of craziness that's going on with the witnesses in that case and Hatchet Man. So that'll be next week, and I'll let you know which night is which. And then I'll hopefully see some of you tomorrow night for Friday Night Lies at 9 p.m. I'll have my Friday night pizza and my Diet Coke, which I allow myself on Friday night. So that'll be my food for dissecting Brian Albert tomorrow night. So thanks again to Julie for coming on live with us. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Replay. Any comments that you put in the replay, that would be great. And thanks again for caring about justice, caring about making sure that the criminals get called out in our communities, and that we end corruption everywhere in our country once and for all. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you. Good night, Julie.
Good night.
Good night.
They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge and name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life matters is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us. We're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life matters, the cry we sing for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us. justice seekers will fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall. For justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life mattered is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring.
Good night, everyone.